So the primary difference between a staffing firm and an RPO organization is really the strategic partnership that's formed to hire full-time talent. So RPO, or recruitment process outsourcing, we really define it as a turnkey corporate recruiting solution. So it's a solution that we can plug into the HR, the talent acquisition process. We can handle the whole end-to-end process, or pieces and parts in between. And it's really a strategic element of talent acquisition. And we're seeing, especially talent acquisition leaders nowadays, really how do they integrate an RPO solution into their overall talent strategy. And I'd also say business leaders are integrating pieces of RPO into their businesses. RPO isn't a temporary staffing solution. It's not a contingent search firm solution where you throw out a job requisition to an individual recruiter and then see what candidates that they can come up with and throw them over the fence. So those are kind of the two primary things that folks, clients and prospects think that RPO is, but it's really not. It's a strategic talent acquisition solution designed for that company to really go after and attract the talent that's going to drive the business results of their organization. I think it's probably the acronym, I think, hasn't been fully adopted, RPO. A lot of business leaders refer to it as staffing or recruiting or hiring. A lot of business leaders in particular refer to it as staffing, which I'm okay with. I think especially nowadays with talent acquisition leaders, when they're thinking about scaling their internal recruiting function to meet the needs of the business, RPO has to be part of that strategy. Larger clients and even mid-sized clients need a partner that is really more than a contract recruiting solution or a bunch of search agencies that are trying to identify talent for the firm and throwing it out there. So when we sit down with our clients, it's really around what's the business value proposition, how can it impact their business, and what does it mean and what does it look like and feel like. So it's very much a strategic decision, not only at the HR level, but also at the business level. You know, I think there's a lot of it's around unrealistic expectations. There's businesses that need staff extremely quickly, and they're unrealistic in terms of the timing that they can bring those folks on board in the volumes that they require. And sometimes it's, you want to be optimistic, you want to share best practices and watch-outs, but just managing those expectations with the business as it's impacting their year, and they need to, many times they need to add people and talent or staff to the equation to hit their business goals, and they haven't set themselves up to hit those goals. And so now they're reacting to something that, let's say Q1 was off a bit, and now they've got to make things up in Q2, and that puts exceptional pressure on the talent acquisition, and that falls down to the RPO solution. So I've been in the RPO space 20 plus years, about 25 years. I first got my kind of first foray into RPO really during the dot-com boom. What I recognized and started a firm to address is that many of the dot-com startups were getting venture capital funding, and they just had a very disjointed talent acquisition strategy, and felt that there was a full service solution that could plug into these new organizations and be their de facto talent acquisition group. This is about 25 years ago. So if I'm describing RPO to my mom, first I've described it several times to her and my dad about RPO and what that means. I typically leave the acronym RPO to the side, and I describe it, as I said earlier, a turnkey corporate recruiting solution. Or oftentimes I'll just say, we're an executive headhunting business. but we just do it at the staff level. So we're hiring hundreds of employees for our clients across the country for corporate jobs, for call center jobs, and I generally refer to it in that vein. So someone who's made a significant impact in terms of my professional career and how that relates to RPO is actually one of my business partners, Jim O'Malley. Jim brings a level of passion and excitement to the recruiting business. I worked for Jim about 20 years ago at Deloitte, and we've just stayed in touch ever since. And I think what I've learned about Jim and through Jim is really getting a deep relationship with that client that's built on trust, and that the confidence that you can come in there and execute. And then also the 6 degrees of Jim, the ability to make that 3 degrees and connect with people on a regular basis and form those relationships has made an impact on me. If I wasn't in the RPO space, I would be a coach. I coach my girls in basketball, and I have for several years. And I think the ability to influence young people, teach them about teamwork, how to strive and win together, all the elements of coaching young kids and doing it well, I would love to do that as a profession going forward.
All right, next one.
My heels are shaking, but I'm a jiggler. My kids make fun of my knees. It's always bouncing up. I'm a knee knock.
What really sucks about RPO?
What really sucks about RPO?